Let's talk about Hermans. So Hermans is a new NFT project on Solana. By now, you should know what I think about JPEGs on Solana or on any other chain for that matter, other than Bitcoin, of course. But in case you don't, for me, the use case for JPEGs makes most sense on Bitcoin and nowhere else. But there is a but. Me being bullish on Hermans, a Solana NFT project, should tell you something. Yes, it is a Solana NFT project, but it's one that's got me seriously excited, and I'll tell you why. So let's take a closer look, shall we? What is Hermans? Before we begin, I do have to disclose that I am part of the team as a brand ambassador. But know that I get dozens of offers. I just got an offer yesterday to lead a project as founder or as co-founder, and I politely rejected the offer. But why do I work with such few projects? Because you can make money very quickly in this space, but it's much harder to rebuild a tarnished or damaged reputation. It's just not worth the money. By the way, it's not just me who joined Hermans as brand ambassador. You got big OGs and whales in the space like Whale. You got Uncle Eddie. You got Solana Sensei and a few other motherfuckers you might recognize like Lucifer. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about what Hermans is. I've reviewed the internal docs, ladies and gentlemen. I've reviewed the docs as well as the pitch deck, and here is what I can share. First and foremost, Hermans is an IP play. But what makes an IP play successful? I was speaking to Kais, the founder of OK Bears. We were on a space together like a week ago, and he had a very interesting insight he shared. He said that there are these wonderful and successful IP projects on Ethereum, but not on Solana. And he's right. The closest IP play on Solana that's a big deal is, in my mind, OK Bears. And that's where Hermans comes in. Most IP plays so far have been digital collectibles with some animation. I'm thinking Klaynos or plushies like Pudgy Penguins on Ethereum. And that's fine, but I don't think it's quite enough. What OK Bears did early and in an ingenious way was to establish a strong narrative with their brand play. With the Wagbo narrative, we're all going to be okay. And for people who echoed that sentiment, who felt that, once that narrative was married to the OK Bears brand, it helped connect with their audience on an emotional level. And that's really what you want. A deep connection that is emotional to a brand can feel visceral, and you can tie it to your identity, and it's something that most other projects neglect, and it's really a missed opportunity because we've seen brands do it so well by now that it's like, why aren't NFT projects doing it? You have this JPEG. It's supposed to represent your identity in Web3. I even support it in Web2. My LinkedIn is my OMB. So in that sense, it leaves you wondering why more projects don't dig deeper and try to figure out how to connect with their audience on an emotional level, one that's based on identity. I do think Hermans understands this, and the narrative here is about living the life that you want to live. I know that sounds super basic, and in a way it is, but they do more than that. So let's explore that. For example, they did mention in an earlier document that Hermans is about breaking free from the grind, the expectations that others set for you early in life, and instead doing what really matters to you, living that life. I think that resonated with me a lot at first because I wanted to go to film school, but at the behest of my parents, I ended up studying critical theory, North Korean propaganda, and a bunch of other stuff that's really fun to learn, but when you think about it, it doesn't really pay the bills. Thanks, Mom. So if this message resonates with you, you're going to vibe with the project and what the team is setting out to do. Unlike most projects, Hermans has a strong narrative focus. It starts out with three characters, Ace, Ziggy, and Hopper. These guys are outcasts outcasts, each with their own journey to escape the typical life that everyone expects from them, like going to school and all that shit, which is great. I stayed in school. I stayed in school a lot. I stayed in school like a motherfucker. What's cool is that reading from the docs, it was my impression that the team wants you as a holder to write the story for your own characters. And as a creator, this is like a fucking dream come true, at least for me. I believe that the act of creative expression is one of the strongest desires that we have as human beings. And this approach is a gateway for those of us who recognize it and want to be able to fulfill these desires. I want to look at my Herman's pieces and see what individual stories I can come up with for each of them so that I can tell stories that I myself relate to, and hopefully my audience can as well. The art is where Herman's really shines. If your art is shite, especially as a PFP and double, especially as an IP play, who the fuck is going to want to work with it? Herman's art is some of the most polished art in the space that I've seen. The team has nailed every detail, from the layers to the traits. I mean, it all comes together spectacularly. I absolutely love how much thought they've put into it, because the internal documentation actually goes through the process of how they came up with everything. The fact that they understand how valuable this is to holders makes me very bullish. Let's take Utes as an example. Utes was arguably the most hyped mint on Solana ever. Then Frank and the team didn't do jack shit with it. Like, the most they're doing right now is relabeling them fuzzy DeGods, which is like, what? I legit feel bad for Utes holders, and I'm one of them. I was ripping tubes back in the day. But this brings me to the Herman's team, and why this won't be another Utes debacle. The Herman's team is solid. We got Mitch, Zeds, and Zimbara leading the charge, and they've pulled together a team of 12 that includes folks with some serious chops from SaaS, marketing, animation, and crypto. Mitch is a fucking veteran, and he's founder of NFT Daily. Zeds is a crypto OG, and Zimbara is a homie. They're all homies. I've known these guys for a while now. Mitch and Zeds used to invite me to host the Ordinal segment on the Down Bad show in the early Ordinal days. I trust these guys. They're not like A6 from Hashlings, who is now a known grifter. Why is Herman's different? Herman's is different because these guys get marketing. Mitch and Zeds are well known in the space for their marketing chops. They're not just about, hey, let's try this. They understand that connecting means doing so on an emotional level. The characters, the story, the art, it all has to come together and work well together. You got Utes. Utes still has some of the best art we've ever seen in this space. It is my hope that a lot of these Utes holders switch their PFPs over to Herman's, and they're finally able to realize what they expected or wanted to achieve from being a Utes holder. That is, having the project empower them in such ways that they're able to fulfill whatever it is they want to do with their PFPs. So based on the Herman's team strategy and what I understand from it, I am convinced that it is worth fafoing into, and I am fafoing into it hard. I have several lined up to receive in my wallet, and I'm super excited about that. So I will be fafoing with you if you choose to fafo with me. But what exactly is the Herman's strategy? I can share a surface level overview, and I can tell you that Herman's isn't just about collecting or about community building. The team's pretty well set up, and they've got a vast network that they can tap into. Networking is one of their fortes. So they've gathered a bunch of resources and experts to help you create whatever it is you want with your IP, whether it's merch, a game, or something completely new that we haven't even thought about. We need look no further than the animation quality of the short form animations they've been releasing to understand this. Why do these animations look so good? Imagine if Utes had done this with their animations. Oh my God. Hermans has partnered with Lunar Animations to create top-tier 3D animations. These guys aren't your average basement-dwelling animators. They've worked with Disney, Sony, and Lego, so we can expect quality. All in all, I'm very bullish to see how Hermans plays out. I love that the team has put in so much thought into everything before mint. It's not like most of these projects that are like, hey, we have great art, let's mint, let's gather the treasury funds, and then let's see where we go from here. Let's come up with a monetization strategy after, because that is an L. You need to figure this shit out beforehand, and these guys look like they've done a lot of the groundwork and it's all ready to go. So I'm very excited to see where we go from here. All right, that covers our episode for today. If you're convinced too and you're bullish as fuck as I am, go check out the Hermans Twitter account and give it a follow. I'll also share the team's Twitter accounts in the description below. And of course, if you're into art, ordinals, Solana JPEGs too, I guess, tech and communities like me, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Valeri Yoshi, and I'll catch you in the next one. You've been watching Degen Reports.